from Rixie. This is Debuff, and I'm your host, Steve Skeels. Today I'll be talking about Crash Bandicoot 4, the new Game Expo, and Marvel's Avengers. Crash Bandicoot 4, man. I never thought I'd see the day. After a few leaks ruined the surprise, we got a look at the game on Monday. It's set to be released on October 2nd for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It's cleverly titled It's About Time, both because it has to do with time travel, as well as because it's been a hot minute since we saw Crash 3. The game is being developed by Toys for Bob, most recently known for the Insane Trilogy and the Spyro Reignited Trilogy, which I think is pretty awesome. I'm glad the studio has a chance to make a game that they clearly have a passion for. Based on those remasters, I have a feeling they'll do it justice. I'm really excited for the game, though I never had a PlayStation 1 growing up. I did play the original Crash games at friends' houses and later on my PSP. The games are great, and they're definitely cut from a different cloth than the platformers we get nowadays, so I don't feel like it's going to be overshadowed by what's out there now. And I think we can see that from the Insane Trilogy, which has sold over 10 million copies worldwide. From the trailer, we can see that Neo Cortex has developed a new plan to take Crash down, and the description of the game mentions uniting quantum masks to restore the multiverse. The gameplay looks like the same old Crash, but with new moves and masks to help plow through the levels. It still appears to have that hallway runner style, and though I think some may be hoping for more open levels, I think it's great they're sticking with the tried and true. It really looks great to me, and not just the graphical quality, which I think is very much what we would expect nowadays, but the art direction as well. Levels look vibrant and detailed, the new character designs look familiar but nicely updated, and the general presentation looks like some 90s ridiculousness that we should expect from the Crash series. Something else that's pretty neat is you can apparently play the whole game as Crash or Coco, and there will be other playable characters as well, including the big bad Neo Cortex. I'm imagining Crash and Coco will play about the same, but it should be pretty interesting to see how Cortex and some of the other characters from the franchise will play. Luckily, it'll be out in a little over 3 months, so we don't have long before we find out. The new Game Expo aired on June 23rd, and I thought it was excellent. It was marketed as a slice of Japanese gaming. The games here were something you'd probably see spread out over an event like E3, but these companies came together to put it all in one place. The overall presentation was really well done. It was very much in the style of a Nintendo Direct, with games being shown, followed by a splash screen of the game title and release date, and the presenter would give a little description about the game, and they'd move on to the next one. They even had a final reveal after the whole thing felt like it was over, similar to what Nintendo has been doing recently for their presentations. And personally, overall, this is my favorite style of presenting games. About 45 minutes long, and it didn't feel like any time was wasted. Some people were definitely pretty disappointed because Sega and Atlas were making an appearance, and they ended up showing Catherine full body instead of something new. But other than that, I think the presentation was well done, and there were a lot of great-looking games shown off. Now, I'm definitely biased as I love a lot of these studios, and I think there was very little here that I wasn't at least slightly interested in. From the fighting games, to life sims, to the JRPGs you'd expect. They had many different game genres represented, and I was into it all. The big reveal of the presentation was probably Ys 9 Monstrum Nox. The Ys series has always been a fairly popular action RPG series, but I think their last few games have really brought it a lot of acclaim, and just from the trailer of this, it's not hard to see why. They all look very polished, and I don't think Ys 9 is going to disappoint. Of course, there were many other notable games here as well. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 got announced, Trails of Cold Steel 4, as well as Death End Request 2 got Western release dates. Got a little teaser trailer of the Harvest Moon game, and quite a lot more. I think the best moment for me was probably Suda51 showing off No More Heroes 3, but completely covering the center of the screen with his head. Classic troll, Suda. But like I said, I thought it was a great presentation. I do know it's not for everyone, though. If you have no interest in many of these Japanese studios, you can probably skip it. But if there are a few studios or games you recognize, I think it's a good chance to watch a slightly more focused presentation to see if there's anything else of interest. The last topic for today is Marvel's Avengers. we just had the first war table, which is what they're calling their videos showing off more game details. After the initial gameplay reveal, there were a lot of mixed thoughts about it. The gameplay looked a bit clunky and repetitive, character models looked like off-brand MCU actors, and it was announced that it would be a game with continuous updates, which is not everyone's favorite. I was somewhere in the middle, but after this, I think I'm leaning more towards it being a good game, though I still have some reservations. The war table showed off quite a lot, both in terms of story and gameplay, so let's get right into it. With me coming right off the presentation, here's my synopsis of what I think the general plot sounds like. The Avengers messed up, but were somehow set up, and now the public hates them. Because of this incident, the Inhumans, which are basically mutants, were accidentally created. The Avengers disbanded, and an evil corporation known as AIM, run by the villain MODOK, has become the world's saviors as they attempt to cure Inhumans. In reality, they're testing and using them. Due to Ms. Marvel's research, the Avengers reassembled to save the Inhumans and uncover AIM's plans. Yeah, that sounds really complicated, but I'm guessing that for a game with continued content rollout, this will give them a lot to work with, so that's probably what they were going for. But aside from the story, what's really got me interested is the gameplay they showed off. I think overall, combat looks more polished, still a little bit clunky and repetitive. I mean, the section they had showed Thor doing pretty much the same moves, and the objective was just to defeat multiple of the same big machines. But overall, I think it looks improved and a lot more fun than the initial reveal seemed, especially because they actually showed off more of the mechanics that go into the combat. There's multiple characters, of course, with different combat styles, but they also showed off combos, special and ultimate attacks, and a ton of customization to keep the game fresh. There's skills, perks, gear, and artifacts that will all affect how you approach combat. I'm not surprised by this, since they're going to have continued content rollout, so they're going to need more stuff to release to keep people playing. But I think it'll also be good because it'll keep it from turning into, well, these characters are the best because of these abilities and whatnot. There will be a lot of different ways to play every character. In the end, there's going to be a lot of options, so I think you'll be able to make the heroes play how you like. And in addition to that, there's dozens of outfits and emotes for each character, so you can make them look and feel a bit more unique as well. Well, after they showed off all that, they detailed the one multiplayer component. Aside from the story missions, there's what they call war zones, which are basically like special missions. They'll have some story significance, but I'm guessing they'll feel like side quests where you'll do them to get more upgrades and maybe some more plot for what's going on. These missions can be played in a team of 4, either with computers or co-op via friends and matchmaking. And I think that's cool. I like the idea of going through some missions solo and then meeting up with friends to take on some random challenges. It'll be nice for people that at least want to have the option to play with friends, but I think it would have been a better idea to try to have at least some of the story missions be co-op. As of right now, they said they're all single player. So overall, my impressions are that it definitely looks improved. I'm a little more excited now, but my main concern still stands. I'm worried the whole continued update system may mean that the game will feel incomplete on release. I don't think it'll be too bad or feel barren, but I'm not a big fan of checking in on games every few weeks to do a couple of missions, and we won't really know how much content will be there until it releases. I'd personally say keep an open mind, but I'm not going to commit to a day one purchase. In all honesty, it may end up being a game that'll be better to pick up later in its lifespan. Debuff is hosted by me, Steve Skeels, edited and mixed by Mason Carlton. Follow us on Instagram at DebuffPod. That's DebuffPod. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.